Hello everyone, it's me, Zoni, and good afternoon from here. Currently, it's 3 p.m. in Korea right now. So, as I mentioned before, I'm going to record the part 2. We're going to keep continue learning about the conversation in the taxi. And lastly, we're going to finish with this explaining about the Korean taxi system. So, let's keep going with today's class. So, let's go with the conversation. 여기 있어요. 7만 원이요. 하이, 7만 원です. Here you go. Here is 70,000 won. As I mentioned before, the thousands means like chon in Korean and sen in Japanese. But here the 70,000 becomes 7만 in Korean, 7만 in Japanese. Here's a reminder that in Korea we divide it into like man and chon is different. So you have to become careful when you read the Korean or Japanese when you count the numbers. And next we have here you go. It's 여기 있어요 in Korean. 하이 in Japanese. The hi here is used as the here you go in this time. However, actually hi is literally means yes in Japanese. But in here, it's like it's a metaphor for here you go in this situation. Next part. So the customers paid the fare to the taxi driver, and recently how much was the actual taxi fare? Well, yes, it was 65,000 won. However, the taxi driver will receive more than a 65,000 won, so he have to give him back some change. Then here's how you say when you receive the change. 자, 여기 거스름돈 5,000원 받으세요. 안녕히 가세요. 5000 のお釣りです。ありがとうございます. Here is your 5,000 won change. Bye. Here, 거스름돈 and 오쓰리 means change. As you can also see at this table. Well, we all know what the thousand means. So 5,000 is 5,000 in Korean, 고센 in Japanese, and change for 거스름돈 or 잔돈 in Korean, and 오쓰리 in Japanese. You can also say 거스름돈 as 잔돈, which is a similar meaning. And we have 5,000 won banknote in Korea, so I'm assuming he received like 5,000 note banknote by cash. And lastly, we have 고맙습니다. 아리가또 고자이마스. And thank you. Well, we all know what does it mean, right? We know how to say thank you in Korean and Japanese, so I won't explain it any further from here. I have to remind that this class is kind of continuing on the understanding that you guys know at least some of the Korean phrases, whether by the TV dramas or by games. So that is the reason I don't explain any further from here about the 고맙습니다 and 아리가또 고자이마스. And here, and from this part, this is about the Korean currency won and Japanese currency yen. We're going to compare these two. The first, we have Korean won. The symbol of the Korean won is this. And Korean, it's written as this, won. In banknote, we have 4 kinds of banknotes in Korean won. 1,000, it's $1. 5,000, it's like $5. 10,000, this is like $10. And lastly, the highest value is 50,000, which is like a $50. And we also have 4 kinds of coin, and we also have 4 kinds of coins. 10, which is like 1 penny. 51, this is like 5 penny. 5 cents. 100, this is like a 10 cents. 500, this is like 50 cents. Before we also had a 1 and a 5, but this is not much valuable in these days in Korean currency. So this is not used anymore in Korea. The plus tip is Korean people use credit card or payment applications like Kakao Pay more than the cash recently. And myself also use a lot of credit cards when I ride the bus or pay something at the store. This is a Korean won in picture. There are 6 kinds of coins and 4 kinds of banknotes. This 1 and 5 is not that used anymore. And 10, 50, 100 and 500 is mostly used in Korea. And as you already know, we use a lot of banknotes, of course. Now then, let's go to the Japanese yen. Japanese yen, the symbol is this, and it reads as N. This is a kanji for Japanese yen. And in Japanese yen, there's 4 kinds of banknotes. However, they only use 1,000 yen, which is like $10. 5,000 yen, this is $50. And lastly, they have 10,000 yen, which is like $100. They also have 2,000, but this one is limited edition, which is released at the 2,000. So this is hardly fine to use it. And in Japanese coin, there are 6 kinds of coins. 1 yen, 1 cent. 5 yen, 5 cents. 10 yen, it's literally 10 cents. 50 yen is like 50 cents. And 100 yen, this is $1. 500 yen, this is $5. As you can see, Japanese coin has a high value, especially this 100 and 500 coins, which is like $1 and $5. So because of this problem, the Japanese people still use cash more than a card or pay application. So I asked about the Japanese friend before at the beer chat, and they said that they still use more cash than the card or pay application. And this is a Japanese picture of the Japanese currency. This is 1,000. This is 2,000, 5,000, and 10,000 yen. These are the coins. So when you visit Japan, you have to really careful about the managing the coin because 100 yen is like a $1. So if you lose one of the coins, it'll be worth it'll be kind of petty, right? So you have to be careful when you care about the coin when you're traveling in Japan. Lastly, here's the tips about the Korean taxi. In Korea, you can also grab a cab by the Kakao application. This is a Kakao taxi, and this is Kakao Talk. It's the same company, of course, and Kakao Taxi is one of the social service that Kakao provides to the customer. Well, if you the Kakao Talk is really useful application when you're going to live in Korea for a while. And if you have a Korean friend, I recommend to make the Kakao Talk or ask about the Kakao ID because most of the Korean people use Kakao Talk. We don't use much like WhatsApp or Line, and also we don't use a lot of Facebook, I think, if I remember correctly. For you guys, I know you guys like European guys or American guys, you guys, and also the other countries, that you guys use a lot of WhatsApp. However, in Korea, we don't use the WhatsApp a lot. I think there's more people that doesn't know about that WhatsApp even exists because most of the Korean people, including me, mostly use the Kakao Talk as an application. So anyway, if you want to grab a cab by the Kakao, you need to make an account to use the Kakao Taxi app. And if you have a Kakao account and you if you and download this app, then it will be automatically works well if you have the Kakao application, which is really convenient. And there's also good facts about the Kakao Taxi. This is a Kakao Taxi. There's a Kakao character, this one. If you did you forget to bring the cash, then you don't have to worry about it because you can also pay in Kakao Taxi app as I mentioned before and also in credit card in Korea. But however, you have to make a Korean credit card to use it at the cab. So I really recommend to bring the cash every time when you're traveling to Korea. But if you're going to live in Korea, then make the Korean credit card first, then apply it to the Kakao Taxi, so you can pay the taxi fare in credit cards or Kakao Taxi application. So by the way, guys, which social network service other than the Kakao Talk you guys use mostly? Please leave the comments below the video after our recording, after we finish watching it. And here's question time for this today's class. There are two questions. How is your taxi system in your country? This is like, for example, can you guys also pay the taxi fare in credit cards or only by the cash in your country? And what taxi application do you have in your country? Well, such as Uber. And second, what is the currency of your country? In Korea, as we know what currency in Korea and Japan. However, what is your currency of your currency of your country? Well, for European guys, I think most of you guys use the European euro, but if you know what currency you use before arriving of the euro, then if you know of it, please leave the comments after you're watching this video. And for Discord users and Discord server users, leave the comments at the school hall too. But I really recommend to leave the comments below after you finish watching it. And this is a today's class, or this week's class. I hope this helped you guys understanding more about Korean and Japanese language. Thank you so much for watching everyone. 그리고 감사합니다 여러분. 나중에 또 そしてありがとうございます皆さん. I'll see you guys later at the next class. 잘 가요 여러분. 그리고 사요나라 미나사. また会いましょう.